You know, sometimes life hits you so hard. You start to believe the universe has a personal vendetta against you, a cosmic, all caps. You are going to suffer kind of grudge. My story, it starts on a Tuesday. Of course it did. The kind of gray, damp Tuesday that just screams bad luck. I'm Silas, the lighthouse keeper, or at least I was, scraping by on the edge of the Viridian Straits, trying to keep the lights on for my family, my wife, Alara, and our 3 hungry kids. We were so poor, the seagulls wouldn't even steal our sandwiches. Every morning, I kept to my old man's rule for drops of the dredged net, no more, no less. A tradition as stubborn as the sea moss on the rocks. That day, I tossed the net, said my silent prayer to whatever deity was listening, and waited. When I pulled it up, it was heavy, so heavy my heart actually did a little flip finally. I thought, a decent haul, enough for proper bread. But you know how these stories go, don't you? Hope is just the universe setting you up for the punchline. First haul, nothing but a dead sea lion, bloated and stinking, tangled in the ropes. I cursed under my breath, the good Lord grant me strength, because this is not what I asked for. I threw the carcass aside, cleaned the net, and tried again. Second haul, that one felt like dragging a dam boulder. I broke a sweat, heart pounding, and it was just a massive antique clay urn, choked with mud and sand, totally worthless. Third haul, by now, the sun was high, and the gnawing anxiety in my gut was getting sharp. My children's faces flashed in my mind. I whispered, please, just enough, and I pulled up nothing but shattered glass. Broken crockery, the sea's trash. 3 strikes, and I was looking at a fourth, the final toss. The one that decided if we ate or starved. I looked up at the sun, blinding and indifferent. With hands shaking, I cast the net one last time. It sank, then pulled up light, almost alight, but not empty. There, nestled in the twine, was a small, heavy bronze flask, sealed tight with a strange, dull lead stopper. It had this bizarre, complex etching on it. Looked ancient. Definitely not from around here. Well, I muttered, turning the flask over in my calloused hands. Maybe I can sell the metal. Buy a loaf or two. It wasn't treasure, but it was something. Curiosity, the oldest trap in the book, got the better of me. That seal felt wrong, almost magnetic. I grunted, wedged the stopper, and with a sickening hiss, I popped it open. What followed wasn't a trickle of smoke. It was a vapor wave tsunami. A thick, yellow-green fog erupted from that tiny mouth, swirling and screaming skyward like a twisted chimney. It towered over the lighthouse, a column of chaos, before spreading out over the strait. Darkening the morning, I stumbled back, shielding my eyes, my blood turning to ice. The smoke didn't dissipate. It coalesced. First, a monstrous head, then shoulders like granite cliffs, a towering torso, and legs like ancient redwood trunks. Standing there, head in the clouds, was a colossus of iron and shadow, the Jinni. His voice wasn't a sound. It was a physical vibration, a low, resonant gong that echoed off the rocks. Freedom. No power, but mine shall stand. I was shaking, my knees ready to buckle. And no power but the Almighty's. I managed to stammer out, but who? What are you? And why are you yelling at the sky? The Jinni, I'll call him Malachor. Malakor's eyes, burning like magnesium flares, focus on me. Prepare to die, small mortal. Your moment of life is over. Die? Are you insane? I shrieked, my voice cracking. I just released you from your prison. This is how you repay kindness with murder? Malachor let out a laugh that sounded like 1,000 tons of scrap metal grinding together. Kindness? Fool, ask for anything but your life, little keeper. Your death is certain, but I grant you the privilege of choosing the method. That was the hook. The moment I realized this wasn't bad luck, it was a life-or-death confrontation. My mind, usually sluggish with hunger, went into overdrive. What crime did I commit? I demanded, finding a sliver of defiance. Malakor's face darkened, a cloud of fury. My crime was pride. I defied the Ancient Ones. They sent the Archvizier against me, and he trapped me in that vile vessel. For the 1st century, I swore I'd make my savior richer than kings. No one came. For the 2nd, I promised all the world's treasures. Still, nothing. For the 3rd, 3 wishes. But after 400 years in that crushing, suffocating darkness, my patience curdled into rage. I swore an oath. I would kill whoever released me, only giving them the choice of execution. My heart sank. My good deed was my death sentence. So, you're telling me I saved you, and my reward is execution? Precisely, Malachor hissed. Choose your fate, now. Act 2. The counterattack and the power of story was ready to dine out with Alara, and the kids waiting. Desperation tastes like battery acid, but it sharpens the mind. I had to pivot, to fight a battle of wits instead of muscle. Hold on, almighty Malachor, I said, trying to steady my voice. Before I choose, I have one question, a question that demands an answer. For the sake of your own honor. Malachor narrowed his fiery eyes. Speak, mortal. I tire of this theater. It's just, you are massive, I continued, playing the simpleton. Your foot is bigger than my cottage. That flask, that tiny, bronze bottle, it couldn't hold your hand, let alone your whole, majestic, glorious form. I simply cannot believe my eyes. No offense, but seeing is believing. Are you really the genie of the flask? Pride. It was the vice that got him sealed in the first place, and I aimed right for it. Malachor's enormous chest swelled with indignation. You doubt my power, meager human? You think I cannot fit inside that pathetic prison? I don't think, I insisted. I simply cannot fathom. It defies physics. It defies reality. Prove it to me, Malachor. Show me the magic that confines the infinite inside the finite, or I simply won't believe you were ever truly imprisoned. It was a beautiful, arrogant smile that spread across his face, a look of contemptuous pity. Very well, you stupid little keeper. Behold the power you dare to question. And then, it began. His colossal form started to dissolve, swirling into that yellow-green vapor again. It poured, like a reverse waterfall, spiraling, condensing, sucking back into the neck of the tiny flask until the last wisp was gone, leaving only the polished bronze sitting innocently on the sand. I didn't hesitate. I snatched the lead stopper, jammed it back into the mouth with a furious, desperate clang, and sealed it tight. Now, you overgrown, arrogant lump of smoke, I bellowed, standing over the flask, my adrenaline crashing into pure, hysterical triumph. I am the one who decides your fate. Perhaps another 1,000 years in the dark will teach you some manners and some gratitude. A muffled, furious roar erupted from inside the flask. Let me out. I swear by the most ancient seal, I will not harm you. I will give you wealth. I will give you whatever your heart desires. I shook my head, feeling a rush of power. Why should I trust you now? You told me yourself how your promises decayed over for centuries. No, I think I'll throw you back in the deepest trench, and maybe build a monument here to warn future generations of your temper. Wait, Malachor pleaded, his voice small and distant. Please, listen to me. I was wrong to repay good with evil. If you release me, I will truly reward you. I know a story, a tale of wisdom and consequence that proves I understand the gravity of my error now. A flicker of curiosity, a fatal flaw perhaps, snagged me. What kind of story could change my mind? Free me, he argued, and I'll tell you the tale of King Vorlag and the Vizier Morass, a story about the price of ingratitude. Not a chance, I stated firmly, holding the flask tight. You'll start the story right there, inside the bronze. If it holds my interest, then maybe I'll consider letting you finish it. And so, trapped and humble, Malachor began his first tale, asterisk voiceover. Paces changed for the tale's more narrative, slightly deeper, like reading from a very old, dramatic book. Tale 1. King Vorlag and the Vizier Morass, the price of ingratitude. Malachor spoke of King Vorlag of the city of Kylos, a man rich in power, but plagued by a creeping, hideous skin disease no physician could cure. Then arrived the brilliant herbalist, Alastair Morass. Morass promised to cure the king without ever touching him. Skeptical, but desperate, Vorlag agreed. Morass returned with a hollow mallet and a wooden orb, both treated with a powerful, unseen cure. Strike the orb with the mallet, sire, Morass instructed, until your palms sweat and the medicine seeps through your skin. Then sleep. The king did exactly that. The next morning, he awoke completely cured. Overjoyed, Vorlag showered Morass with honors, making him his closest confidant and sitting him at his right hand. But the chief treasurer, Velis, was consumed by bitter jealousy. Day and night, Velis whispered poison into the king's ear. How can you trust this outsider? If he can heal you with a mere wooden toy, he can surely kill you with the same ease. He holds too much secret power, sire. The king resisted, but the ancient fear of the unknown took root. Velis persisted. He didn't need to touch you to heal you. He doesn't need to touch you to murder you. Finally, fear overcame gratitude. Vorlag summoned Miraz, declared him a threat, and ordered his execution. Miraz, horrified, asked only for a final delay to retrieve his most precious possession, a book of unending wisdom. The next day, Miraz returned with the old book. When I am executed, he requested, place my severed head upon the open book. Command the head to speak, and when it opens the book, you must lick your finger to turn each page. The wisdom will transfer to you. Fascinated, the king agreed. After the execution, Vorlag placed the head on the book. Open the book, he commanded. The dead lips moved and the book opened. Finding the first few pages blank, the king eagerly licked his finger and turned the page. Then the next, and the next dot as he did. The slow-acting poison Miraz had treated the pages was seeped into the king's bloodstream. Through his saliva, O king, the severed head murmured as the poison took effect. This is how those who repay good with evil shall be rewarded. Before the guards could react, King Vorlag collapsed, dead, beside the head of the man who had cured him. Asterisk's voiceover. Silas breaks the narrative to talk to Malachor again. I paused, holding the flask. A powerful story, Malachor. You are right. You were just like King Vorlag, ready to destroy the one who saved you. And I, your simple keeper, would have been the wise Miraz, receiving death as a reward for kindness. I appreciate the lesson, but one story is not enough to erase your death threat. You misunderstand. Malachor cried from within. I told it to show I know the injustice I planned. I realize my error. Release me, and let me tell you the tale of King Jarl and the Obsidian Falcon, a story about hasty judgment. At its terrible cost, I conceded slightly. I'll listen, but the seal stays put. Tale 2, King Jarl and the Obsidian Falcon, hasty judgment. Malachor began again, telling of King Jarl, who loved hunting and treasured his trained obsidian falcon. This was no ordinary bird. Jarl had raised it since a hatchling, and its sight was unmatched. One sweltering day in the arid lands, Jarl was desperate for water. He spotted a trickle flowing down a cliff face, collecting, drop by precious drop, in a small, natural basin. Jarl cupped his hands, patiently waiting for the water to accumulate. But just as he raised his hands to drink, his loyal falcon swooped down and, with a powerful wing beat, knocked the water out of his grasp onto the dry ground. Furious, Jarl waited, letting his hands fill again. The falcon, with a screech, smashed the water away a second time. By the third attempt, King Jarl's thirst and blind rage overcame his reason. Pulling his sword, he declared the bird an enemy and, with a single, terrible stroke, beheaded his beloved falcon. As the bird fell dead at his feet, Jarl noticed movement above the basin. Climbing up, he saw a massive, venomous viper lying coiled in the tiny pool, the source of the water he had meant to drink. The falcon, seeing the poison that the king could not, had saved his master's life 3 times, only to be killed for its pains. Jarl realized his mistake, but it was too late. He carried the body of the falcon back to his fortress, consumed by grief and a regret that would never lift. Asterisk's voiceover. Silas reflects on the second story, Wisdom. I murmured. It teaches that a rash action, done in anger and without full understanding, brings terrible regret. You suggest I might regret sealing you away, like Jarl regretted killing his falcon? Precisely, Malachor replied eagerly. You are judging me by my initial temper, not by my changed heart. Release me, and I will reward you without delay. Still not convinced, I said, rubbing the bronze flask. You threatened my life, Jenny. I need more than 2 stories to forgive that. Have one more ready? Indeed, Malachor replied. The tale of Prince Lorik and the king in Sirenet shows that what seems beautiful and harmless can be deadly, and what appears threatening can bring salvation. Good, I sighed, adjusting my grip. I'll hear it, but the seal stays on. Tale 3, Prince Lorik and the Canyon Siren. Deceptive appearance. Malachor told of young Prince Lorik, who ignored his advisors and hunted alone. One day, deep in the canyons, he found a dazzlingly beautiful woman chained to a willow tree by a spring. Help me, kind traveler, she cried. I am a princess, kidnapped and tormented. Free me from these chains. Lorik, captivated by her beauty, immediately set to work breaking her fetters. The moment she was free, the woman kissed his hand in gratitude, asking to follow him back to his kingdom as his most faithful servant. But as they prepared to leave, the woman paused by the spring. Lorik turned his back for privacy. A strange, sharp sound made him look back, and he saw the change. The woman's beauty dissolved into the hideous form of a hulking, fire-eyed ghoul. She was talking to her hidden young. My children, I bring you a plump young prince for our feast today. Lorik realized his deadly peril. He quietly mounted his horse and galloped away. The ghoul, seeing her meal escape, chased after him with inhuman speed. Just as she was about to seize him, Lorik saw a wise old mountain hermit standing on a high ledge. "Help me," Lorik cried. "This fiend means to devour me." The hermit raised his hands and spoke ancient words that instantly reduced the pursuing ghoul to a pool of dark, smoking oil on the sand. The hermit then looked down at the trembling prince. "Learn from this, young man," the hermit instructed. "Not all that shines is gold, and not all that is fearsome is evil. Judge carefully by deed, not by appearance." Astor's voiceover. Silas makes the final decision. I considered the three tales. Ingratitude punished. Hasty judgment regretted. Deceptive appearances. Malachor had been masterful. He was suggesting I shouldn't judge him by the terrifying giant who threatened my life, but by the potential for good he now represented. Your stories carry wisdom. Malachor, I conceded, the bronze flask feeling heavy and significant. You proposed that I, like the prince, should look past the initial threat and see the possibility of salvation. You are asking for a second chance to prove your worth. Yes, Malachor whispered, his voice holding true sincerity this time. I have thought on my flaws. Gratitude, not vengeance, must be my reaction to freedom. I stood there for a long time, the sea breeze on my face. Very well, Malachor, you have paused my hand, but before I release you, I will tell you my story, a tale I believe will complete the circle of understanding between us. I am eager to hear it. Keeper, Malachor replied from the bronze walls. Act 3, The Lighthouse Keeper's Bargain Cinematic Climax. Astor's voiceover. Silas adopts a dramatic, storyteller's tone, pacing the words slowly for emphasis not far from these very straits. I began. Lies a hidden lake, ringed by four ancient, mist-shrouded hills. In this lake swim fish of four impossible colors, red, white, blue, and gold. My own king, Alastair, discovered this lake while hunting and was mystified. He brought the fish back to his fortress when the royal chef went to prepare them. The kitchen wall split open, and through it glided a beautiful, chilling young woman in rich robes. She touched the skillet with a slender wand, and the fish instantly stood on their tails and spoke, "If you are true to your old promise, so are we two ours?" She flipped the skillet, the fish turned to charcoal, and she vanished. Sealing the wall behind her, King Alastair, baffled, went to the lake himself. As night fell, the waters began to churn, and a column of shadow rose. Not you, Malachor, but a different, more powerful Jinni, the true villain of this story. Do you know who these fish truly are? The shadow Jinni asked. They are the people of your realm whom I have cursed. He revealed that long ago, this kingdom was betrayed. The king's own queen, Lyra, driven by jealousy over his true love, made a dark pact with a sorcerer. When discovered, the sorcerer cursed the good king, turned him into a statue of marble from the waist down, trapping him in his palace, constantly in pain, half man, half stone. Then, the sorcerer cursed the citizens, trapping them as the four-colored fish, a punishment for their divided faith. I paused, looking down at the flask. My story is not yet over. Jinni, the king is still half stone. His people are still fish. The ending has not been written. It awaits someone with the power, the cunning, and the renewed sense of justice to finish it. Someone who has just learned the true value of freedom after centuries of darkness. A long silence settled on the beach dial. Finally, Malachor's voice, now subdued and reflective, broke the stillness. I see the bargain, Keeper. You offer me a choice, to remain the villain in my own tale, or to become the hero in yours. The Marble King and his people wait. I confirmed. If you swear, by your most binding oath, to dedicate your power to righting that great wrong, to finding that lake, and breaking that terrible curse, I will free you. I swear it. Silas, Keeper of the Light, Malachor proclaimed, the sound echoing the ancient oath. I swear by the unbreakable seal of the Archvizier that I will not harm you, and I will use my power to break the curse of the Marble King. Show me the way. My heart hammered against my ribs, but my hands were steady. I yanked the lead stopper free and tossed it onto the sand. The massive, terrifying column of yellow-green smoke poured out again, ray-forming Malachor. But this time, instead of the terrifying roar, the great Jinni bowed his massive head towards me. You have taught me a lesson 1,800 years of imprisonment could not, Malachor admitted, his voice now a low rumble of respect, and power without wisdom leads only to destruction. I replied, my eyes locked on his. Now, Malachor, let us go find the lake of the four-colored fish. Malachor smiled, a flicker of something ancient and genuinely amused. We shall. But first, a promise is a promise. He commanded me to cast the net one final time into the strait. I did so, and when I pulled it up, I found for fish a dazzling red, a shimmering white, a luminous blue, and a glorious gold. Take these to King Alastair, Malachor instructed. They are the rarest treasure, and they will bring you the favor of his court. And every day, return to this spot, and your nets will be full enough to feed your family. That is your reward for your wisdom in the cursed lake. I asked, does it truly exist? Malachor's eyes sparkled. Some stories are more real than they appear. Keeper, the lake is 3 days' travel beyond the 4 hills that rise from the desert's edge. Meet me there on the night of the full moon, and we will begin a greater adventure. With that, Malachor vanished in a puff of smoke and a smell of ozone. I ran home, clutching the for fish my fortune, my reward, and the key to a legendary quest. I had faced down a grudge 1800 years in the making, and walked away with a hero's task. The story of Silas, the humble lighthouse keeper, had only just begun. Voiceover, the tone shifts back to the warm, personal address, slightly amused but thoughtful. So, that was my Tuesday. I often think about it. Malachor was ready to kill me over an ancient, irrational grudge, simply because he was allowed to. I tricked him, not out of malice, but to survive, forcing him to confront his own flawed logic through storytelling. Tell me, what do you think? Was my strategy lying and manipulating his pride to seal him back up a morally correct act, even though it saved my life and ultimately led to his redemption? Or was it just another act of manipulation in a universe driven by power struggles? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Malachor truly changed his heart? Or was he just playing the long game to escape? And what would you have chosen as your method of execution? Like this video, subscribe for more stories of unexpected fate, and I'll catch you in the next one.